Stanley. It's a very unassuming name. Completely, it has no context to anything that I say on Twitter. It was available, I used it. I am the Chief Everything Officer and Managing Slave at Clear Data and Visual Data. Clear Data does analytics services, offline data and online data, and Visual Data does visualizations. Visual Data has been in the works since 2010. Clear Data just came into being a few months back. What we are doing right now is working with big corporates to look at their market analytics and their enterprise analytics, both of which they are not aware of. They do not know what marketing analytics is, except for the market CMOs and the brand managers, and no one has heard of enterprise analytics. So yay, there's a market for you. With that, welcome to Startup Saturday Delhi. The title and the discussion that I want to have with you is very short. I don't want to talk about clear data or data, visual data at all. I want to talk about metrics. I want to talk about what you should be measuring if you're a startup. So I will do that customary who's startup, what are you making survey. But the subject is that of Dr. Datalove. Has anyone seen the movie Dr. Strangelove? Stanley Kubrick. Who's not aware of Stanley Kubrick? Okay, so Stanley Kubrick made this excellent movie called Dr. Strangelove, or How I Stopped Hating the Bomb and Started Loving It. It's a parody about how Peter Sellers starts inadvertently bombs Russia, and it's a funny movie. But I like the word Strangelove, and I use it for data because I love data, and I'm a non-coder, so kill me if you have to, like Rudy said. But yeah, Dr. Datalove is how I stopped obsessing about data and started using it. And if you'll see Peter Sellers, who is not obsessing about data. Okay, so very quickly, what are we talking about? What I want to focus about is on key questions that any startup has, or have a plan.
Right now, only Google Analytics.
Google Analytics and
based on bloggers, so basically audience and traffic sources, referrals.
Okay.
Then also a build up on Magento's data analytics metrics. Really.
Okay.
Magento also has, you can work on that and create your own metrics to monitor certain aspects.
Okay. All right. So that's a fair assessment. Yes, my presentation is going to be a success. Okay, so quickly, so I'm going to talk about your metrics, your key questions. Then I'm going to talk about some conundrums that we tend to be faced with when we are looking at how we are growing as a web-based startup or a startup in general, between time and the amount of activity and the users and the revenue we are going to generate. Next, we'll look at a few frameworks that some of these great thought leaders like Eric Rice and Dave McClure have told us or postulated for us as a startup as to what to do and how you can apply them. We use them on our products, and we're facing some success with that. So that's just what I want to share with you. And then I'll just ask you a few questions on your metric maturity. Because it really is about how mature you are today, so that you can be prepared for what you will gain in tomorrow. But before that, let's answer that question about data obsession. You saw Peter Sellers staring into space. Data obsession. There's an example of data obsession on the slide before you. And this is a case where in March 2009, Doug Bowman was the chief design guy at Google. And in March 2009, he left Google. The reasons why he left Google was really interesting. He left because he said they just have too many numbers and too many data to work with. When a company is filled with engineers, and I'm going to quote him, when a company is filled with engineers, it turns to engineering to solve every problem. So they reduce each decision to simple logical problems, and then remove subjectivity to it, and then apply data. Right? That's what engineers do. And I'm a mechanical engineer, not a coder. I said that 5 times already. Google couldn't decide between two blue colors. So the current CEO of Yahoo, who's she? Marissa Mayer. She's known to be a data-heavy person, not heavy, but heavy. Data heavy. So Marissa Mayer directed Doug Bowman to do an analytics on 41 shades of blue. So they had user testing of 41 different shades of blue that will go into the 1G of Google. That is my wife. Thank you very much. They also had debates on pixel size of each logo and so on and so forth. They did in the next slide. You'll see that they did that 41 shades of blue test. And what they ended up with in the slide next to it was that Google had one shade and Bing had another shade of blue. Essentially no differentiation. But they did a test of blue at Google. So the point that I'm trying to make is too many metrics just makes a mess of things. Takes too many hours of your time, takes too much effort from your resources, and makes you focus on things that you shouldn't be focused on. Therefore, what are the questions that you should be asking yourself as entrepreneurs? Is your product addressing any market? How many of you are confident that your product is addressing a market that you've seen, that there is a market for this? I know he is. Oh, excellent. Okay, so you know that your product or service is addressing. Number two, are you measuring your performance well? Have you thought of the right metrics to measure? Do you know if Google Analytics is going to answer your questions?
I hope so. We are working on certain small metrics right now. We can go week on week, month on month. Visitors, time on the page, bounce rate, all these metrics through Google Analytics.
Okay. Anyone else with the same Google Analytics approach?
I think Alexa helps a lot.
Alexa helps.
Yeah, even Alexa.
Okay, so are all your data points and how many, whichever metrics that you're covering, do you see spikes, do you see reduction or troughs in your data points? No, we don't know. We don't know that. So there's not enough data.
No, I'm not getting your question.
So the metrics that you measure and the data points that you get in those metrics, are they in harmony? Do you see any sudden spikes, something that's skewed completely because of maybe one tweet that you posted and everyone sort of made that viral? Is there anything?
Yes, we did see that once, one campaign that we did in Facebook.
Okay. Here's the most important question therefore. Can you act on that data?
We have actually.
What have you done?
It was a campaign where we took a model. It's a long story. We created a YouTube video, and we've been doing similar things now. Putting beautiful women in videos with bags and things that we are doing, and we're seeing a similar response. So it's basically, I don't know how to put it in a data-centric term, but from simple common sense, something that worked with us, we're doing it again.
Okay, so you're iterating it.
Exactly.
It's working.
As long as it works. It's working right now.
Okay, so I'll come to my next slide. That's good. I mean, that's an example I want to use later. So as we go on to the next slide, if you can go, what is the slide in front of you? I've lost track.
Startup data.
Late. Okay, startup data conundrum. Excellent. Or web-based products or apps, if you may. He was the first guy to come up with these theories. So he said that the function of retention, or customer retention, is a graph that you draw between the traction that you get versus the time that you spent in the market, right? And the time that you spend in the market goes from phase 1, which is discovery, to the end, which is that of scaling up. The first two ends of the time that you spend in developing your product is product that the market needs. Your product the market needs, and the next one is optimization and growing the market. That's where you will scale up your product, right? Scale up your offering. I hate the word offering, but it's nice to use it. What you will do is, and what you will perform on your product or in your market will be, on the first phase you'll do product development and customer development. On the next side you'll do scaling and marketing. Marketing is the keyword. Unfortunately, what we've been told through Google Analytics and so on and so forth is that the stuff that we learn about is the stuff that we shouldn't be bothered about, which is scaling. What we shouldn't be bothered about is the development of the product. Are our users sticky with us? Do they give me feedback? Do they test my products? Are they eager to use my product again and again and say, this is good, this is bad? That's what you should be focusing on if you're in that first stage of your product development. Right? So if you're in early stage, that's what you should be focusing on. That's the data conundrum which the current metrics may not be telling us. Therefore, what things should we be focusing on? Next slide. So some of the things that you should be focusing on: who signed up? Who was that guy who paid $5 for my product? Which may have been crappy, but it's good because I shipped it out. So this is a Steve Jobs philosophy, which is, it doesn't matter if the product is crappy, just ship it out. Actually, it is. Don't worry about it. It's only in 2007 he made the App Store and he said that it's going to be closed. But it's only in 2008 that he realized that, it should be open for developers, right? So Steve Jobs can make mistakes too, and it's him who made a crappy App Store, shipped it out, and then in 2008 iteratively improved it. So let's focus on the guy who signed up. Forget about your click-throughs. Forget about your Facebook fans. They are pointless. You cannot act on it. A Facebook fan liking my page is not going to tell me what my product is going to do. Right? Maybe if my product is linked to that liking and he has to pay with a tweet or pay to buy my product, then it's useful. You can act upon that. But otherwise, it's useless. Focus on the guy who subscribed to your beta version. Right? So I subscribed to the beta version of I don't know. You know this app called Local Beat. I subscribed to the beta version of Path. I subscribed to the beta version of actually quite a few apps, and then they focused on me. I recently subscribed to the beta version of this web-based app called Draft, which just lets you nothing else. There's no font, there's no italics, bold. You just want to write, you can write. And he keeps on making that. It's a single man startup. He keeps on making improvements with the conversation he has with me, based on the conversation he's having with me. Now, going back to that, the Steve Jobs philosophy that customers don't know what they want, it's a similar thing. He debates with me by saying that, what if you don't worry about that? What if you don't need to worry about that? So I said, okay, yeah, maybe I can work with it. So it gives you as a product developer the power to shape your own user platforms. It's there. But if you're a web-based startup, do you have a discussion forum? You might have your own blog where you can wax eloquent about your products and how sexy your product looks and that TechCrunch coverage you get. I don't know. But do you actually have a forum when consumers can come and speak to you? And they can speak to other users who might be of the same opinion. You never know. So that's one of the big things that most big companies have resolved. But if you're a startup, get that out there first so they know that you're concerned about their opinions. So have that in place. Again, everyone else obviously has talked about acting upon consumer response and their feedback, so on and so forth. So you should as a startup focus on, but you need to have metrics that give you this information. Now, Eric Rice, what did he postulate? Sorry?
The lead startup.
The lead startup, yeah, right, absolutely. But in lean startup, he had something to say about the metrics.
3 N's no growth.
Well, 3 N's of growth, but he also had vanity metrics and the actionable metrics. And believe it or not, Google Analytics is a vanity metric. Number of hits on the page, number of average time spent on the site, number of comments or click-through rates, and subscriber to the newsletter, Facebook fans. These are non-actionable vanity. It's good if you want to make a press release and say, look at our numbers. It makes you look sexy. But it doesn't let you focus on the really important stuff, which is your product. Sorry, yes?
Why is the average time spent on the site a vanity metric? Because it would tell me whether my product adds value or not. If I want to...
Because the dependencies on that metrics are too many. I don't know if, okay, so if I open a site, right, for example, I've opened Flipkart, it's open on my computer all the time, right, it's open with one book open all the time. It's not a clearly dependable metric that tells me that, oh, you know what, there are 5 guys like this who are spending maybe 5 hours on Flipkart. But that's because that site is open on, it's
In
not.
that case, we can check how much time a unique visitor is spending. I think we can go into some metrics.
Yes.
Those metrics are also important.
They're also.
Yeah.
No one's
also
saying
important.
Okay, so vanity doesn't mean leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
Vanity doesn't mean leave it. But it's not actionable enough.
I think you'd rather define your traction.
As far as scaling up is concerned.
Your traction should be defined in another manner, which is
the number of times somebody clicks on this button.
on even that number of paying customers or number of paying customers who return and
For example, if you're
repetitive.
creating a site where you're trying to sell the time spent to an advertiser, right? So then you really need to see, okay, what's the
Which
That's what
is
he's
most
saying, he's
media
not-
model, for example.
No,
He's
but
not
you-
saying they are useless metrics.
No, you're not
Well,
trying to sell that
I
either.
never said.
You're not trying to sell that.
I
you're trying to see
tread
whether
the
this
middle
activity
bar.
you decide or not.
I tread the middle part, but I'd rather be more towards the actionable metrics so that I can work on my product, I can work on my marketing, I can work on making my management more honest instead of glossing over some of the other stuff. That may not be really important. Now, again, the important point that you said about click of the button or certain behaviors. There are cohorts that your site can tell you, which helps you understand similarity of behavior between users, and that's something that's very essential when you want to understand behavior on your site and how you can leverage those behaviors, right? So focus on those kind of metrics. But yes, importantly, the next phase, which is really applying it on your AA RRR framework, which is the Dave McClure framework of acquisition, activation, retention, reference, and
Retention level, right?
revenue.
Revenue, yeah.
And there's an E that I've added today, which is exclaim. I'm gonna paraphrase, or I'm gonna use this age-old adage that Mr. Donald Trump has used. If you don't talk about yourself, no one else will. Right? So the more you talk about it, the better it is. And when you talk about your own metrics that have done well, that's where more traction you get from influencers. So when you start generating revenue, when you start getting your traction in place, your marketing should be able to look at all the metrics that are performing really well and talk about it, use that data, go out. Everyone loves data. We've talked about data journalism. So give it to the guys who love data inside journalism. Right? They use that information. It is important that you talk about yourself using these metrics. Obviously, get to a successful place first.
I love your writing.
But then again, where can you apply this? You can apply it in 3 levels. One is the management, the second is product development, and the third is marketing. How will you apply this? Management loves to set priorities. They love dashboards. They love beautiful charts, figures. Your metrics will help power dashboards. Therefore, keep your management useful. You are your own management. Everyone loves to be associated to anyone who has a founder as a suffix to his name. Okay? I'm telling you, it's a reality. I'm not joking. It's a reality. If you say XYZ, founder, they love you. Okay? That's one of the biggest reasons why people come back and give you feedback.
You sound more like a marketer rather than
I don't code, so I do what I do best in the other way. So, in management, again, key metric definition is important for people to understand performance. For product marketing, it's important they get to know what the A/B testing, I don't know what that is, or optimization. I know what that is.
A/B testing is what the Google example that we gave some time ago, right? Shade of blue. That's A/B testing.
I can do that. I'm
AB is only for 2.
Sorry?
Multivariate is-
AB is only for 2 versions, and what he said.
the multivariate.
Yeah,
But yes, more importantly for product development, they want to be able to ship the product out. As much as possible, you should be shipping your product out. As much as possible, your codes should be shipped out. Right?
Yeah, but that's what they say.
right? That's what they should be doing as well.
Yeah, but that's what doesn't happen.
But also important for product testing is from the market they should know how many people are adopting and converting what you're using your product as much as possible so that they can improve, optimize the product. From a marketing perspective, they should find cohorts, segments that they can communicate to. They should be able to use your information, your metrics, and make it pervasive. Make it available across social media, use it for SEO, use it for other distribution platforms. They should be able to understand the customer lifetime value using your metrics, and therefore cost of acquisition of a customer, all that important good stuff goes up to management. Metrics therefore keep your company churning, making more money. Okay, which brings us to the last self-assessment slide, which is that of what is your maturity level. Now you can either be infant, you can either be an adolescent, or you'll be a mature guy. Looking at the metrics that you are tracking. So what I've written there is, if you know that you have X million number of people coming to your website, that's traffic. And if you're tracking the number of followers you have on Twitter or the fans on Facebook, or reviews that you get, that's an infantile way of tracking your metrics. Adolescent is slightly mature, where you say number of sales, conversion rate, etc. Maturity is when you look at the real stuff, which is profit, cash flow, retention length, churn rate, and the cost of goods sold. So you need, as entrepreneurs, need to look at where you are in the maturity cycle. What kind of data are you generating from your business, and where can you apply that most judiciously? Yes.
I know that in the mature metrics, you have a lot of what is stopping them? Can I answer it? On a more practical level. See, actually, even within the organization, you appreciate you probably work with it. There are two levels actually. The head of the marketing is a fuddy-duddy like me. He's probably arriving at say 50 years, though I'm not 50 years of age. And when you go and sell a digital product, he will say, okay, he will pretend that as if he's understanding it, but he won't admit that he doesn't understand it. Okay, the maximum he would understand it is, okay, this is the game on iPhone. ये अच्छा चलता है, मेरा लड़का अच्छा चलता है, कितने डाउनलोड हो गए? That is it. But the critical decision maker who probably is in the digital side, he would be of your age. But for him, the psychological barrier would be to go up to his fuddy-duddy boss and say that, boss, your offline sales are taking a hit. This is my plan for online. If you do this, you will receive a lot of recognition. But he's afraid to say all these things, and he's even afraid to talk about a figure of, say, I want 20 crores as online marketing budgets out of your total marketing budgets. This is a psychological barrier with most of the online marketing heads that I've encountered. Probably they'd say, I would like to have a marketing budget of 2 crores or 3 crores, but 20 crores, my God.
Right. It's the curse of the hierarchy.
I've
Yes,
done it
hierarchy
twice.
starts.
What you should do is, actually I've done it for 2 brands. They said, like we said, this 50-year-old guy who says, okay, Facebook is for kids here, I don't know what's going to happen. So we actually did an analysis and we went to the report. Actually, this is where it was going on. So you do an analysis for a month and you will do it.
Yeah, so again, coming back to the point, the entire point was about the right data. Data convinces people. Often, it's seen at least to have some impact on conviction. So if you want a mindset change, it can only happen with time. But you can start now with reporting the right numbers, with reporting right actionable numbers, so that they can make decisions. They want to make decisions. Let me put that very clearly. They only want to sit back and say, I say X and X should happen. So make it easier for them. Give them no reason to deny you that 20 crores of social media budget. So it's and data tells you that. Data makes that case for you. So that's my only suggestion. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Calm and crunch data. That's
there's long and prosper and remember, too many metrics is bad for your brain. Thanks. Just in case you missed it, I'm also hiring and I'm also investing, so you're free to get in touch with me.